My name is Elora Reichert. I'm 13 years old. I'm a member of the Northwood Rangers, the Junior Market Livestock Program, and I'm a member of the Kenai Peninsula Wranglers team. Today I will be giving a presentation on backyard beef. Have you noticed how popular backyard farming has become? This new trend is to grow and raise food as healthy and organic as possible. Knowing what exactly goes into their food is a growing trend for many people. When people think of backyard farming, they think of growing a garden and maybe having chickens running around. But what about a beef? Could you ever raise a beef animal on limited acreage? I'm here to tell you about a new breed of beef called the miniature Hereford. But before I can tell you about the miniature Hereford, you must learn about the original Hereford breed. It started in Herefordshire, England, 1742. There, Benjamin Tompkins, a cattle breeder, used several breeds of cattle to create a new breed of beef. At first, this new breed varied in colors. Calves could be brown, gray, or even yellow, all with different amounts of white on them. It wasn't until the end of the 19th century that the white face and red body was well established within the Hereford breed. The Hereford cattle export trade began in 1817, and within the same year they managed to bring Herefords to the U.S. They did this with the help of Kentucky statesman Henry Clay. Herefords were then spread all throughout North America, down into the great beef-raising countries of South America. Even though Herefords originated in the cool, moist landscape of Great Britain, they have proven to us over the years that they can survive nearly every continent. June 1881, Hereford breeders came together to create the American Herefords Association. 7 years later, in 1888, a man named Warren Gammon was attending the Trans-Mississippi World's Fair in Omaha, Nebraska. There he noticed several naturally hornless Herefords, and from then on he set out to create a hornless breed of beef. He started with a bull named Giant and 11 other Hereford females. In 1910, the American Polled Herefords Association, or the APHA, was founded. And 85 years later, in 1995, the American Herefords Association and the American Polled Herefords Association combined to create a new and improved American Herefords Association. In the 1930s and 40s, cattle breeders were breeding deep-bodied, short, wide, and low-set cattle. They did this to achieve early maturity in their cattle. Their short and fat cattle did excellent in show arenas, but companies were paying very little for these overly fat cattle. During this time, the American diet desired a leaner carcass. American Hereford breeders stepped up to the challenge by breeding a leaner carcass with less fat waste, thus creating the Hereford we know and have today. Now that you know some of the original Hereford's history, it's time to get to know some of the miniature Hereford's history. During the 1950s and 60s, the cattle industry's biggest trend was bigger is better, but we know that isn't always true, right? In a Denver stock show in 1970, the bovine judge placed a class of Herefords according to their size. He placed them shortest to tallest, and did this because the shorter Herefords were closer to the original size. After that, Point of Rocks Ranch and several other ranches all across America started breeding programs to get their Herefords back to the original size. Point of Rocks Ranch started out with certified dwarfism-free Herefords and took this breeding program one step further. They created miniature Hereford. This miniature Hereford design was meant to require less forage and acreage while retaining the quality traits of the full-size Hereford. Some of those traits are being easy birthers, having sweet and docile temperament, and being easy keepers. Now that we've gone through the history of both Hereford breeds, it's time to see why the miniature Hereford makes a great backyard farming animal. If you are anything like me, you're probably wondering just how miniature is this miniature Hereford? Well, the American Herefords Association states that any Hereford with a frame score larger than 1 is not qualified as a miniature Hereford. That means bulls cannot be any taller than 47 inches tall at the hip, and that cows cannot be any taller than 45 inches at the hip. Frame scoring is a convenient way of describing the skeletal size of cattle. The International Miniature Hereford frame scores are quadruple 0, triple 0, double 0, 0, and 1. That means that bulls can reach a height of 47 inches tall at the hip, and that miniature cows can be 37 inches or shorter at the hips. Now, to you, that may not seem very big, but 2-year-old bulls can still reach 1,000 pounds of weight. Compared to a 2-year-old full-size steer, which can reach up to 2,000 pounds in weight, they are very small. Miniature Herefords fit perfectly on limited acreage. You can raise 2 to 3 miniatures on the same amount of land as you can one full-size steer. A miniature Hereford on pasture needs at least 1 acre to graze on, while a full-size steer needs at least 3 acres to graze on. That's 3 times less land that the miniature Hereford takes up. And because of their smaller size, the miniature Hereford does not cause as much damage to the land it lives on. Miniature Herefords eat and produce around 35% of what a full-sized steer does. A full-sized cow can eat up to 24 pounds of hay and drink up to 30 gallons of water a day, while producing up to 120 pounds of wet manure daily. A miniature Hereford does less than half of all of that. Miniature Herefords are short, square animals who can pack on a lot of meat while staying under a height of 47 inches. Speaking of meat, miniature Herefords provide the perfect amount of meat for single families. One family can consume the amount of beef a miniature Hereford provides within the recommended freezer shelf life. Right now, you may be thinking, since a miniature Hereford is half the size, it produces half as much meat. That is wrong. A full-size steer's dress-out weight is 45% of its live body weight. That seems like a lot, but a miniature Hereford gives off 65% of its body weight in meat. And a full-size steer's ribeye area is 1 square inch per 100 pounds of live weight. A miniature Hereford's ribeye area is 1.5 square inches per 100 pounds of live weight. So, as you can see, miniature Herefords have a lot of upsides to them. Some of them are their size, eating and producing less than half of what a full-size steer does, and having a sweet and docile temperament that makes them perfect for 4-H and FFA projects. I found my information on Wikipedia, the American Herefords Association website, and the Bryan Hill Farm. Thank you. Are there any questions?
I do have a question. So in Alaska, you are possibly planning to raise one of these, right?
Yes, I am.
When will you receive the animal, and when will it be time for the animal to go to slaughter?
The question was, when I get my miniature Hereford steer, when is the time that it should be slaughtered? This is a very good question. There has not been a miniature Hereford before at our fair before, so I had to make all of the policies for it. I put them as the same as a full-size steer, which is January 1st of the year it needs to be slaughtered. The breeder that I found that was willing to give me one was right here in Nikiski. I did not expect that to happen because I was looking at some down like in Nevada and Montana and expecting to make a drive down there to get it. But she breeds hers to where they're born in October and November, so when they're done weaning, the grass is coming up and they can start eating grass in the spring. So I'm planning to get mine in the next month or so. So it won't be slaughtered this year. So it will be slaughtered next August. But the date I'm supposed to have it by is January 1st of 2017. So it's very interesting. I'm going to have it for about 8 more months than I could have it, but my parents are willing to.
Oh, great. And you've been wanting to do this for a while, is that correct?
Yes. The question was, I have been wanting to do this for a very long time. It has been my dream since 7 to have a cow. Just a cow. Anyone would do. Just wanted one. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions?
No,
All right.
thank you.
Then if there are no more questions, this concludes my presentation.